Hey guys, welcome to Aldosterone and ADH. So if you could get out your notes and open it up so we can draw the two feedback loops. So before we do, I just want to throw a quick reminder in here about where we have talked about aldosterone and ADH before. This is a picture from chapter 9 in Bio 20. This is the nephron of the kidney. So you'll notice that we have talked about aldosterone and ADH before. Last year when we were talking about how does the nephron reabsorb things back into the bloodstream. So this is maybe where you've heard it before, just a quick reminder. So let's talk about aldosterone. What's happening? Well, let's talk about the stimulus. Normally, aldosterone is talked about in conjunction with the stress loop because it has a lot to do with, well, pretty much everything to do with blood pressure. The reason we talk about it with ADH is because the reason that works for blood pressure is it has everything to do with water movement, and ADH is water movement. So keep that in mind as we go through that this is connected to long-term stress. This is a mineral corticoid, and you may remember from the long-term stress that I talked about it. So maybe make a note just above it. So what's our stimulus? Well, all of a sudden we have a decrease in blood pressure. Whoops, there it goes, okay? This is also, like I said, connected to long-term stress. Oops, sorry guys, wrong way. So what's happening is the hypothalamus then tells the anterior pituitary, hey, we got a problem. So the anterior pituitary releases ACTH, like we already know it does, and it targets the adrenal gland. So if you're going back through your stress loop, remember the hypothalamus secretes the ACTH-RF, the releasing factor, and then the ACTH targets the adrenal gland. But this time, instead of targeting cortisol, it's going to target aldosterone, and its goal is to target the kidneys. Okay? So not the adrenal gland, the kidney, so like it's secreted out, the kidneys are the target. What is its job? It's to increase sodium reabsorption. So this is why we talk about it in conjunction with water and ADH, is because it has everything to do with the movement of water. Aldosterone's job is to reabsorb sodium back into the blood. Okay, so it moves sodium from your kidneys into the blood. Now, the thing is wherever sodium goes, water follows, okay? So we say aldosterone increases blood pressure because once it moves the salts out of the kidney and the water follows, your blood pressure has everything to do with how much, or not how much, but how well it's retaining the water in your blood, okay? So if you are dehydrated, you have low blood pressure, okay? We want to increase water absorption to increase blood pressure. So that is the point of aldosterone. The whole idea is move sodium so water will follow passively, okay? So once it does that and all this water has moved over, obviously we know that it goes back into homeostasis and we no longer have the need to secrete ACTH or aldosterone. So again, why do we talk about it in conjunction with the kidney? Is because that's where it's working. It's highly related to ADH. But if we were to look at where it fits best in our notes, it is with the long-term stress. So just make a note that long-term stress is a big part of this. So now let's talk about ADH, or the antidiuretic hormone, okay? What's happening here? Well, again, some sort of stimulus happens. This time we don't have a lot of water in our bloodstream. So again, low blood pressure, okay? Except this time, instead of dealing with low blood pressure in regards to salts, it's actually just working with water. So the hypothalamus actually makes the antidiuretic hormone. Put a star beside that. That is really, really important. ADH is stored in the posterior pituitary. Again, super important. It is the only hormone we're really going to talk about that is completely made in the hypothalamus and stored in the pituitary. Pituitary stores most, but has some sort of releasing factor and some sort of tropic hormone it's using. But this one comes directly from the hypothalamus. So once the hormone ADH is secreted, it targets the kidneys and the blood vessels. And again, it increases our water absorption from our kidneys to our bloodstream. So unlike aldosterone, which moves sodium first, the antidiuretic hormone only solely is working upon moving water back into the bloodstream. Again, once we've moved enough water back into our bloodstream, that beautiful homeostasis is returned. So, I should mention one more thing, that the antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, we're going to talk with it in conjunction as well with how does it help with diabetes. So this one is also really important for the world of diabetes, and we're going to talk about diabetes insipidus with this. So here you can just see I have just a quick diagram that's showing you kind of how they work together, okay? So you're seeing homeostasis, water level in the blood, water levels drop below normal range. We then secrete ADH. ADH reabsorbs water, and then it goes the other way. This one does not talk about aldosterone because remember, I mentioned aldosterone is also with long-term stress, more about blood pressure. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this makes sense. I hope that you get both of these into your notes. Again, our drawing quiz will not be right away, so just get these in your notes and we will talk about diabetes insipidus tomorrow.